Welcome, everybody, to today's session titled Direct Mail Ain't Dead, but there is one little catch, and there's actually a few of them that we want to share with you today. I'm just over the moon to be able to spend time with you today, and even more excited to be able to bring to you Andrew Eddinger from the Best Postcards, Tom Casey, and Lou Hobaica from Griffin Service and Hobaica Services, respectively. I'm going to introduce them officially here in a second and give them an opportunity to say hi to you. But in case this is your first time joining one of these events, if this is your first time in the series, this is a series of live sessions that we do every Friday morning to help you market, sell, and lead through this time of crisis. It's a tough time out there for a lot of businesses, a lot of sales and marketing people. And we want to help you learn what we call omni-channel social marketing and sales from people who are doing it, folks who are practitioners of generating leads and generating sales using modern marketing strategies. Today's session, who's this for? Well, welcome to our contractors, our residential service providers. We have a lot of new friends with us today because of what Drew and Lou and Tom are all about. There's a whole new set of people who are here with us today, which we're really excited for. So this is for you if you're a contractor, a residential service provider. We have a lot of agencies. We have a lot of printers in the audience. We have a lot of different B2B and B2C organizations and their marketing people, their sales people, and their leadership. So this is for you if you fall into any one of those categories, and I think you're going to get a lot of value out of what the panel has to share today. I want to know, before we jump in here, who's new? Who's here with us for the first time? Drop the word new in the chat, whether it's in Zoom or over there in LinkedIn, over there on Facebook. Let me see all the news. Who are the new folks that we have with us here today? Cool. Taylor's new. Tom is new. Larry's new. Don is new. Holy cow, they're coming in too fast. I'm glad to see all the new folks here with you.
Lots of new folks. This is exciting.
Yeah, this is cool. Well, we're live. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Facebook. We're on Zoom. I want you to keep this interactive. This is a very supportive community that we've established here and that we've built. And one of the ways that we support one another is by keeping the engagement high during these sessions. Now, I want to make sure if this is your first time, or even if you've been here before, that we stay connected because we publish content. We provide trainings. We provide sessions like this one to you and to the community all the time. So I want to give you a chance. If you have your cell phone, go grab your cell phone. One opportunity to multitask during the session, and that's right now. Otherwise, I want you focused on Tom and Drew and Lou. But go grab your cell phone. Open up the camera app on your phone. If you have a modern phone, not a flip phone, but a modern phone, and point your camera at that QR code there on the screen. All right?
Tom and Lou, put your phone away.
They didn't even bring it out in the first place.
They got the flip phones.
If you're not aware, folks, most modern phones have QR code readers built into them now. This is in contrast to the way it was a few years back, where there was more friction with the QR code. This particular QR code, when you point your camera at it, should direct you to my LinkedIn profile. I want you to connect with me, and I want you to think about how to create a better consumer experience using QR codes now that this technology has advanced. And with COVID, there's many more out there in the market, in the consumer marketplace, that are accustomed to using them. And so I'm just curious, how many of you did not know that your camera had a built-in QR code reader? Drop a 1 in the chat, Zoom, LinkedIn, Facebook, if this is new to you. Drop a 1 in the chat if this is new to you. If this is new, that your camera had the QR code built into it, you didn't have to download a QR code reader, and you were able to jump immediately over to the LinkedIn profile. Yeah, I see the 1s coming in. David said it's new to him. Charles says it's new. Don't be shy, folks. This is new for a lot of people. 2, says Wayne. I guess that means he knew about it. No problem. All right. So on today's show, we've got 3 panelists lined up for you. I'm super excited to introduce them. With us today are Andrew Eddinger, the CEO of the Best Postcards, Tom Casey, Griffin Services and Climate Partners, and Lou Hobaica, president over at Hobaica Services. And the way the show is going to work today is I'm going to bring each of these panel on in just a moment and introduce them to you and allow them to tell you a little bit about themselves. And then we're going to jump into a series of tough questions that you, the community, have submitted in advance. And while we're doing that, I'm sure you're going to have additional questions. I'm sure you're going to ask for clarifications. keep those coming in the chat, whether you're in LinkedIn, over in Facebook, or in Zoom. I've got multiple people helping kind of curate those questions, and we will have time at the end to get into your real-time questions as well. All right. So the goal of all of this is to help you understand how these gentlemen are using direct mail and some unique layered direct mail to get some impressive ROI. And we want to help you understand how they're doing it, why they think about the world the way they do, and help unlock some new strategies and tactics that you can all start to apply to your businesses. So I'm going to start with Andrew Eddinger. If I can bring Andrew on stage. Andrew has got a very unique story. In fact, I came across this article recently about Andrew talking about how, as a former financial guru, his story took him from bankruptcy to now CEO of one of the largest direct mail companies, which is intriguing. And so, Andrew, I'd love for you to tell a little bit about your story. As you know, we have some pictures and some videos from your shop, from your office. And so just kind of take us through the arc of your story. How the heck did you look like a young guy, right? How did you decide to jump into print of all things and direct mail? Give us kind of the arc of your story and how you got to where you are today.
Well, Dave, I appreciate you having me on here. If someone ever told me that direct mail would be what I would be doing in the future, I would, I guess most of us feel that way about what we do now. But guru is a very unique word here, because at the age of 26, I was probably one of the youngest senior vice presidents at Morgan Stanley. I'd been recruited over from Prudential Securities. I had $200 million into management. If everybody remembers the 2000 and the market boom, and I was a genius. There was nobody smarter than I was. I was going out, partying like a rock star, picked up some bad habits, to be perfectly blunt with myself. I'd become a drug addict. I was dating the wrong women, and 2001 came, and it was a harsh reality. Most of my career, I've been a networker, and I've connected with people not through cold calling. I've never done a cold call. So the money that I had under management was my family's, was my friends. And sometimes the market stops and you don't realize, like, your lifestyle doesn't stop the direction that it's going in, even because you think that everything's going to come back and you're going to catch up. But so the market crashed, and I knew the market crashed, but I just figured, hey, 2 more months, I'll make the money back, but that's not what happened. I lost money for not only did I go from being a millionaire many times over at the age of 26 to being literally homeless,
Wow.
and having lost money for all my friends and my family. And it was truly humbling. And, I look back now and I say it was the best experience of my life. Not the experience itself, because I lived on friends' couch, friends in the city for a year. And then in 2004, I moved to Connecticut, and I lived on my, my partner's couch for 7 years. And I filed for bankruptcy, but you can't file for bankruptcy from your family and your friends and from, so I paid back every single dime. It took me 10 years. I paid back every single dime, but it turned me into, from really a jackass into someone who's like the appreciation that I could possibly have for everything now has just changed so much. And the saddest part about it was that my mother passed away, in 2010, and that's just when I had started to turn the curve.
Wow.
And so I've lived with the guilt of, my mother seeing me as not who I am today, where I'm married with a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. And I love what I do, and I love making money, but I have no personal materialistic needs besides my house for my kids and for my wife. But I wear the same sweatpants that I wore, 5 years ago when I was broke. I wear the same T-shirt that I wore 5 years ago when I was broke. And like I said, it didn't seem like there was ever going to be a light at the tunnel. But for 10 years, I walked up and down the streets of Connecticut, knocking on business owners' doors, getting them to advertise in a shared magazine, which allowed me to deal with over 500 different business types 500 times over. So getting that experience and understanding who the good businessmen were, what the good markets are, who the bad businessmen were. It's and it's brought me to where I am today. Owning my own company and being able to help other contractors with the experience that I've gained over the last 20 years.
So how did you get into print? Tell us how the arc of your story brought you to, and I'm showing some examples here of this on the screen, some videos and some pictures from your company. How did you get into print? How did that happen?
Well, my partner wanted to, he owned a pizza company. He owned a chain of 4 pizza restaurants, and they were actually going around and they were handing out flyers door to door. We had 20 people handing out flyers door to door. I remember I was making $9 an hour at the time. I wasn't a partner. And until we realized that you can actually print and mail something cheaper than you can actually go door to door and put a door hanger onto the home. So, it was his idea initially to start up a shared mail magazine. And I was his gun, he just pointed and shoot. And I would go and I would, open accounts, but it was, probably in about 2015, I kind of got not bored with the shared mail idea, but it's just that I wasn't making a difference in people's lives. There was no way to analytically see the difference that I was making, or, so about 10 of us, I've been the most incredible team in the world. The business would not be in existence without them. If, I can honestly say that without them, I would have no company. And I don't want to leave anybody out, from Ashley Sanborn to Ann Hogan to Louis Janusa to Chris Wetmore to Ashley Broussard to Gina and Agnes. Just they're all family to me. And I guess as we became more successful, then COVID obviously hit in, and it knocked us off our butt. We're mailing for one of the largest national fitness retailers in the country, 100 million pieces a year. And we weren't, I thought we were diversified, but we weren't diversified. And then when that carpet got pulled out from us, it was like life altering,
Sure. Yep.
And I read an article in a Harvard paper, and it said, you have 3 moves. You can go into survival mode, or you can go into expansion mode. This is where new companies come and become the new behemoths of this time. You can go into micromanagement mode or empowerment mode. And the third part that really got me was find your niche marketing. Don't be where everybody else is. You don't fight. If you have a competitor, another gym chain, another dentist who's spending $15,000 on Facebook, and don't spend $1,000 going against them. If there's 17 of your competitors all on pay-per-click, you're all in the pool fishing for the same leads, buying the same leads that are costing more money every day, and they're giving you a lesser return. And it's owning the mailbox, owning the home. And it's just, we put into places, ways of actually instilling data and analytics, because there is no real way to, anybody says that they can track where their calls are coming from and stuff like that. Nobody can track where their calls are coming from. They don't know what the trigger point was. They don't know whether it was because they saw Lou's van, or because they saw his yard sign, or because they saw his direct mail postcard, or his billboard, or it's.
Well, let's use that opportunity, Drew, to introduce Lou and Tom, who you just mentioned. I think everybody would love to be able to hear a little bit from them. And I saw as you were sharing your story, Drew, folks both in LinkedIn, Facebook, and here in Zoom were really touched by your vulnerability and the fact that you shared kind of know where you came from and your origin story. So, folks, if you were touched by that, drop an X in the chat wherever you are. And Drew, thank you for being open. We really appreciate that. And so you started to mention Tom, you started to mention Lou, and I'd love for all of you to be able to meet Tom Casey here. He's the CEO of Griffin Service. And Tom, I'd love to have you just share a little bit about your story, your business, and what brings you to today's session. So welcome, Tom.
Thanks. I'm a third generation SOB, son of a boss. So I grew up in the business. Some people think that stands for something else, but that's their problem, not mine. I have a company I own and operate in Connecticut called Climate Partners. I have a company I own and operate in Florida called Griffin Service. Both are in the home service space, HVAC, plumbing, stuff like that. I've owned other businesses on the East Coast. I've started and sold franchises, organizations. So I've got a lot of experience in the trade. Grew up in it. It's in my DNA. I love it. I go to sleep thinking about it. I wake up thinking about it. I am one of those guys who would fall into the category of, I love what I do.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yep.
It's a grind. It's hard. There's challenges being in the retail or the residential service space, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I took a year off from college to work with my dad, and here I am 38 years later, still on my year off. I wouldn't have it any other way. So done a lot of things through my career, been on the commercial side, B2B, been on the B2C side. Currently, our businesses are more B2C. We do more residential than commercial. Similar to Drew, I had sold my first contracting business back in 2000 at the time when the industry was consolidating, and quite an experience. And I rode the wave up and I rode the wave down when the stock market crashed. And I kind of learned at that point that I really liked dealing with people who could write checks and make decisions as customers. So I kind of moved more to the B2C side and even the B2B side, where we probably do less national accounts, less giant things like commercial builders and stuff. So in my businesses, we specialize in not construction. So we're not doing new home builders. We're not doing guys who build nationally and things like that. We're doing existing structures, existing homeowners, existing building owners, servicing them, replacing their equipment, upgrading, enhancing, things like that.
Got it.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, Tom. We have a lot of questions, and I know that some of them you're going to have some unique insights on. So appreciate you being here. I know you're busy, so thank you for making time for the community. And let's bring to the stage here your friend. And I know that you guys like to rib each other a little bit, so hopefully some of that humor comes out during today's session. We have Lou Hobaica, who's here. Welcome to the show, Lou, and love for you to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your story as well.
Hey, sure thing, Dave. Thanks for having me on, and Mind Fire audience, thanks for being here. So I'm certain the three of us will be able to share some really good gold nuggets with you today. So I'll tell you a little bit about my story. I'm a second generation SOB, as Tom would say. Started back with my father. He was a Lebanese immigrant, came here in the early 20s, served for our country in the Army, and under the GI Bill, studied refrigeration and business, started his own company, Hobaica's Refrigeration, 1952, and primarily was a refrigeration company. But in the little city that I operate and live in, my business and live here is Phoenix, Arizona. It started to grow from 30,000 and just started to blow up. So a city blows up, comes an oven, all that heat effect, and air conditioning grew. So no different than today. Our most sought after resource is finding, team members, employees, recruits, apprentices, skilled labor. And my dad had the same problem. So couldn't find people. And him and my mom went to work and figured they'd just make their own employees. So I had 7 kids. We all worked in the business, right? So I've been in the business my entire life. We're talking helpers, sheet metal fab, attics, installation service, you name it, every aspect. Went to college, I got a business degree. My brother Paul got an engineering degree. We bought the business in 1989, so we've owned it for 32 years. And primarily Hobaica services. We transitioned our name in 2000 from Hobaica Refrigeration to Services because we started to bring on additional services. So we mainly provide residential home service and air conditioning, heating, plumbing, drain, sewer, water conditioning, filtration, electrical services, wine cellar. So that's a nice little niche. And some people will say, well, what do you get out of wine cellars? Well, it's not a big market area. It brings about $500,000-$600,000 of revenue in, but a wine cellar customer is our perfect customer. And as you heard Andrew mention before, owning the home, that's our primary goal, to own the home with everything that we do and offer. And a wine cellar customer, what do they typically have? They typically have money, right? They have an expensive hobby. They have a big home with lots of air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, water needs, security needs. We provide all of that, and we become their preferred partner. We are the most likable people you'll ever meet. You'll like a Hobaica. So
there we go,
they
baby.
like us. Yeah, they like us. They trust us, and they want to utilize us. And that's really what it's out for. So that's my story. And as we move on, I can get into why direct mail is a important part of my marketing and communicating my brand.
Well, what I want to do, it's interesting you mentioned own the home. And for everybody who's here, I had an opportunity yesterday to join Drew with some of his clients and just listen in on a mastermind that they hold once a month, which I think is really an interesting strategy. And I'd love for you, Drew, just for very briefly here, kind of walk us through a bit of what it is that Lou and Tom and your clients get from you in terms of direct mail, but also let's talk a little bit about digital and your view there. So here on the screen, which everyone should be able to see, drop a 1 in the chat. Just make sure we're all connected. Drop a 1 if you can see these examples here. These are some emails that I know that you do in addition to the direct mail services that you provide your clients. So Drew, tell us a little bit about these and what we're looking at here.
What we're looking at is these would typically be a 13 by 12 and a half piece that'll fold into a 13 by 6 and a quarter. It's strategically done that way so that when it folds into the mail, it's technically will be the largest unfolded piece of mail in your mailbox. So the typical length and height of a single family home is 13 inches long and 6.5 inches high. So it's strategically made that way. We're constantly updating our artwork. We don't have templated artwork. You referred to that Zoom meeting.
Yep.
What we like to do as a company is our company is like an ecosystem. We invite all of our people to be able to rely on each other, to grab ideas, to find out what's working in their marketplaces. We do something maybe a little bit different where we offer market exclusivity, not just where you mail to, but also where you think you might expand to. We don't want anybody to get blocked in. It's all about partnerships. It's not the only vertical that we're in. These are both older HVAC guys, but experienced and to the best out there. And they help us make the pieces and give us the ideas and help us with the services, and not just Lou and Tom, but the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 other people. We probably have over 350, 400 home service clients, couple hundred home improvement clients. But, everybody who runs with us runs typically on a monthly basis, and nobody's on contract, and we have a 97% retention ratio.
So tell us what we're looking at here on the screen, Drew. I know when we talked initially, we were really talking about how you partner and create this ecosystem of support for your clients, and that's a very, very important part of the puzzle. But I'm sure that your clients are also saying, at the end of the day, it's about return on investment, and I gotta show me the money, right? So tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here on the screen and how you use this to demonstrate that value to your clients.
So really interesting. This would, if I can go back, this is kind of like your end result. The beginning of the result, the way a conversation would start with our clients, because our clients are ultimately going to be our partners. We're invested, we're in 24/7. We're available anytime. There's no time that anybody's going to ever call you or email us and not get a reply. But a typical conversation is, I'm going to ask the client, I'm going to ask the prospective client, what did you do in revenue? What did you do in revenue last year? What percentage of your advertising are you spending on for your revenue? You're going to ask them where they're putting their money. I'm going to ask them where their techs are. And I'm going to ask them what their goals are. And typically someone's going to say, okay, so what are you going to propose? But we have nothing to propose to you. What I'm going to propose is, how about you send me your last 2 years customer client list, and I'm going to plot that out for you on a 3D heat map. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 3D heat map, and we're going to do a go-to meeting, and I'm going to show you where your clients are coming from. I'm going to show you where they're not coming from. I'm going to show you the saturation of the carrier routes. And a carrier route, anybody who doesn't know, is taking a zip code and breaking it down into the individual routes that your mailman will walk in a given day, anywhere between 300 to 500 homes. And we're going to show you, we're going to append data to it. We're going to append incomes and home values. And we're going to, a lot of people like to call it your avatar. And we're going to show you, we can actually show from an aerial level and a street level, but we're going to come down to the street level so we can show you the bars, and it can, when every client is plotted out, you can actually see how many times that clients come back to you. Because, a lot of times I'll have a conversation with a client and they'll say, oh, we have a great retention ratio. We're, we don't need to mail to our existing clients, and I know Lou and Tom are going to have theories on this that I want to pass on to them on that. So I don't want to touch on that, and I say, oh, okay, so send me your last 2 years customer list and send me your last 5-year customer list. So your last 5-year customer list has 25,000 people on it, and your last 2-year customer list has 4,000 people on it. What happened to the other 21,000 people?
Right.
So, but then we are able to use the information that we gather to do a couple things. One is we can find your avatar and find it in other places, and we can do it in a couple different ways: a radius to your location, zip codes that you want to hit, or maybe based on saturation of carrier routes that you might find that I'm performing so well in that carrier route that those are the carrier routes that I want to go after. So everything is based on data and analytics. I can't make a proposal to a client until we've reviewed all this data, until I know what makes sense for them. And then at the end of the day, what we're going to do is 95% of our clients give us access to their CRMs. So this right here is what we call a matchback report, because in this day and age, the internet is a hub. It's a toll booth. There's no avoiding it. 90% of people who are gonna use Lou's product or use Tom's product are going to Google their name of their company into the Google box before they make a phone call. So call tracking is just merely like a mechanism for the consumer, for the the end business client to feel like calls are coming in. But what we do is we take every single address, and we do this every 3 months for every client, and we match them back to every single mailer that they sent out over the last 3 months, and when we go 6 months, we go back 6 months because direct mail has a shelf life, which is, unique. And so we can go back and we can tell them, this is how much money that you spent on your total clients. This is how many clients you got. This is how many clients said that this is what they spent on their first visit. Now, after the first visit, they're going to move over to their existing client list. So we can just show them what they spent, the return on their investment for the first client visit. And we can do that for their prospect mailers, for their existing client mailers, for their radius mailers, if you go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no, finish your thought. And then I just want to
their
interject. I
radius
saw somebody say
mailers.
that they love the way that you are able to get into the mapping and that you're using data to prove the value of mail. So I just wanted to pass that on to you.
And I want to say that, like, I want to say that these reports that I give are going to be 100% accurate, but there's no, there's still going to be people doing pay-per-click, and they're going to acquire things, and all of our data is based on when the mail went out and when the client on. But there's going to be always going to be the discussion, like on current clients. Current clients are always going to perform the best. But I can't take credit for current clients. I mean, I hope that when I do a mailer to the current clients, that it increases, the response rate or triggers a thought in their mind.
Right.
But a lot of these gentlemen have earned, these clients over the years, and but the importance of current clients is, I think, the where everything starts, begins, and ends. I'm existing clients. I mean, so.
Let's bring Tom and Lou now to help us dig in a little bit deeper here. And as you know, the community has submitted Lou and Tom numerous questions, hundreds and hundreds of questions. And what we did is we went through and tried to find the ones that were most demonstrative or representative of what the community is looking for. And so, folks, what we're going to do now is we're going to go through those questions. I'm going to ask Lou and Tom and Drew to give their 2 cents on each. And we're going to try to make it through as many as we can here. If they say something, like I saw, Drew, somebody asked you, what is the shelf life for direct mail? I think you said 6 months in your view. Is that right? Is that kind of how you see it? If something like that comes up, folks, just throw it in the chat. We'll make sure to try to answer all the questions that you have as we go through this. So first question up here. I'm gonna address this one to you, Lou. We got a lot of questions like this. We don't use direct mail. Where would you recommend starting the process? What kind of budget should we allocate for something like this? So Lou, let me throw that one at you first. How do you see this from your perspective?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I'm going to say 3 years ago, I totally stopped pay-per-click. I just wasn't seeing the return on investment, and I wasn't able to market my brand. And I'm all about marketing my brand. We're memorable, our reputation, what we look like. So when I look at marketing, website, any type of a piece, I always look for what and why. I mean, contractors like us, every contractor is pretty good at marketing, communicating their what, product, services, what you're providing, what you're doing. But the why would I choose Hobaica services? Mm-hmm. What about Hobaica attracts me? Why would I want to use these guys? Are they trustworthy? Do I feel good about them? Do they have a good reputation? So communicating that why, I'm able to better communicate that why through direct mail. And that's not just a monthly mailer, it expands beyond that. So to answer your basic question, first of all, how much money would I put towards direct mail? 30% of my marketing budget is direct mail of some sort. And I have 5 or 6, maybe 7 different areas that I would qualify as direct mail. So, I'm a really good mail processor. You go to the mailbox, you pull your mail, and I'm a left-hand, right-hand trash can. I can process things really, really good. And I'm only going to keep the things that I need or that attract my attention or are bigger or more memorable, stick out. Maybe there's something in it, and I can talk about this later, that I feel there may be something hidden or important inside. So it creates an interest for me to have to open it. So that's like a positive open rate, and that's what we want. We just want to be seen. But it's really about consistency, and with direct mail, however you're approaching it, and I can explain a number of different methods as we go on that I cross-pollinate my direct mail, but it's timing. So you have to be consistent. And sure, left hand, right hand trash can, I may throw it away 5, 6, 7 times, but the timing and being memorable is important, because there is a time when I or consumers or prospects are going to need my services.
Sure.
One of them, it's not if they're ever going to need them, they are. It's a definite, right? Their AC will fail. They will have a water leak. They'll have water damage. Their sewer, their drain, their toilet's going to plug up. They're going to have electrical issues. So all of that comes to play. You have to be there when the timing is right. And then that's when things happen. So we can get into offers and what works well with coupons and, BOGOs and things like that, seasonal, but
so
that's what I would.
I want to give Tom a chance to answer this, but one follow-up for you, Lou. What % of your overall revenue do you allocate to marketing?
10%. 10% of total revenue is allocated to marketing.
And then about 1/3 of that is allocated to DM.
Yes.
What's the other 2/3 allocated to?
Employee marketing. I market to my team members. So the best and most powerful ambassadors I have are my team members, right? So I heavily compensate, spiff, incentivize them to be able to market our company. And then I do the same with my customer base. They're my second best, most powerful ambassador. Billboards, that's expensive. TV, radio, that gets a little bit expensive. So there's a number of other mediums, but it all wraps into, this is just part of how I communicate my brand, my why.
That's fascinating. Tom, what are your thoughts on this question? Somebody who says, I don't use direct mail. Where do I start? What kind of budget?
So I'm a big, what problem are we really trying to solve guy? So where do I start is, what am I trying to get from my marketing? And that for me would start with my overall budget and business plan. What are we trying to accomplish? For me to go down to the, how many phone calls do I need to receive level? And so as long as I know my number of calls I have to generate, then I would go and look at my marketing. I look at it as an investment portfolio. I refer to it as my marketing portfolio. And in my investment portfolio, I'm balanced. I don't have all tech or all services. I have a spread of investments to share the risk. Well, in my marketing approach, I'm investing hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I want to share the risk. More appropriate than the risk, how I look at it and how to answer this question is, how do I integrate and stack my investment? So if I'm going to do direct mail, how does it interlock to my social media? How does it interlock to my web presence? How does it interlock to my truck wraps, my uniforms? Everything I do should be lifting up the whole. So the first place is understanding that to me. So if someone asks me, I say, well, what's your budget? How many calls you need to generate? And where do you think they're coming from? Most common answer is what I call the hope and pray method. They go, I hope the phone rings, I pray the phone rings, but there's no actual way to generate it. And that's unfortunate, but it's all too common in, I think, home services. From a budget perspective, if you're in the range where Lou is, that 10 to 12%, that would generally be a growth budget. I'm trying to acquire customers. I'm being aggressive. I want to grow my business. In a non-growth sort of maintained budget, you're probably in the range of 5 to 6% of total revenue for your budget. And then I would agree with Lou, about 30 to 35% of the overall budget would be allocated to direct mail in my case. But again, in a balanced portfolio, nothing would probably be more than about 1/3 of the overall budget, because I want to spread and stack my risk. In my companies in Connecticut, it's a more mature business. It's a different type of marketplace. So we run about 6% marketing expense. In Florida, we're 4 years old. We're growing very rapidly. We spend about 10% of revenue on marketing.
So McKinsey, what are your thoughts on that? I know you talk to a lot of folks that are using direct mail and other channels. And by the way, I see those questions coming in around what other channels do Tom and Lou incorporate. What are your thoughts, Mac?
So I'm going to answer my thoughts, and then I'm actually going to ask a question to Tom and Lou, just kind of as a follow-up. But I think that the biggest takeaway that I have here in the way that I answer this question is find a partner or someone who can actually talk you through these things. I mean, as I hear Lou and Tom talk, you are business owners, but you're marketers, right? You're thinking about your business and how do I reverse engineer the call volume I need to tell me how much I need to spend? How do I find my audience? A huge takeaway, Lou, is how do I communicate my why, right? These are all things that many business owners that I talk to aren't thinking in those terms. You know, they don't have their marketer glasses on. And so my question, and I think it kind of follows up to this, if someone's just starting out and they don't have that marketing expertise, we'll call it, how did you become a marketer? How did you start to think in these ways beyond just, this is what I do and this is the revenue that I want to generate, that got you to a place where you can even start to look at direct mail and the results as, wow, this is impacting my business?
I'll take that question. So I have a couple different perspectives. Number one, Andrew could probably tell you stories. Him and I locked horns for a long time on having different points of view. And in all fairness, he proved me wrong, and he taught me to look at things differently. Now, as I've my dad always had an expression, don't put your ego in front of your wallet. And so if you do that kind of thinking, like I'm going to think about this financially, and I like your term, Mac, reverse engineer. What I do is really simple. I go buy coffee for my customers a couple times a month, and I just ask them questions. And I say, how do you make decisions? What's the factor? For example, you say, a question I would ask, like, not naming Griffin Services or Climate Partners, can you tell me 3 HVAC guys who you know? Most people can't even name 1 HVAC guy. We think we're like top of mind. They couldn't care less about us. And plumbers is even less. And so I go, well, if you don't know any guys to call, how do you make a decision? And they'll tell you, well, I go to social media, I call my friends. Then I go to Google third, and I type plumber near me. Well, then you have this whole list of people. How do you decide? And the most common answer to me was, I recognize a name. Okay, that's important information. How do you recognize a name? Well, I've seen their trucks. I've got mail from them. I saw the billboards. It's not Google generating the lead, because they have to pick from this list. So then I said, well, how do you like to get information? Is it email? Is it text? And they go, I like mail. I like, I like to do it on my terms. I don't want to be disrupted by like Facebook ads flashing across or whatever. So that's how I've done it, Mac. I've just literally talked to people, and they'll tell you. If somebody calls, people have called to complain about our ads, and I call up and I go, well, what didn't you like about it? People have said, I love your ads. I call up and say, what do you love about it? So a real big secret, ask the people who are calling why they called.
Talk to your customers, talk to your clients. Lou, did you want to add something on there? How did you become a marketer? How did you gain these insights and actually begin to internalize them to grow your business?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I don't know that I would consider myself a marketer. Okay. I'm just really good at communicating my brand. So basically, your why, you have to determine, sit down and figure out who you are, what you stand for, and what you want to communicate with who you are, what you're providing, right? So, and then be consistent with that with everything you do. Being memorable, being a little bit silly, just being human, that's really important. So if this was a really smart guy business, I guarantee I wouldn't do well at it. I'm not the smartest guy in the room, right? I'm just a real guy that uses common sense. That's all you have to be, a real person. You use common sense and put your consumer hat on. What do you as a consumer, what would your prospective consumers or existing, what would they want, right? And for me, it's all about likability. So our tagline jingle, you'll like a Hobaica. I won't sing it for you, but you'll like a Hobaica. And we communicate, we are the most likable people you'll ever meet. So what people really want as a home service provider, they own this big home with all this great stuff, but they don't know how to take care of it, and they don't want to. They want someone to take care of it for them. But most importantly, they want somebody they can trust, that they know is going to be doing the right thing, even when nobody's watching. And a multi-service provider in owning the home, that's huge for them. So it's all about relationship, defining, communicating your brand consistently. And it's not rocket science. It's just be human.
Lou, you're getting many requests to go ahead and sing the jingle. Do it, man.
I think you should sing it too, Lou.
Yeah, do it. Let's hear it.
Everyone wants it, Lou.
Come on, man.
Here we go. All right. I do not have a singing voice, so
That's okay.
I need some music in the background. I don't have it. You like a Hobaica, da 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 da. Hobaica, you'll like a da 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 da. Hobaica services, Hobaica services, Hobaica service for you. So that's
There
my
we
jingle.
go. All right. Give him some love in the chat there, folks. Facebook, LinkedIn, Zoom.
It's
I
silly.
think that's the
it's
first time we've ever
it's-
had somebody sing on the show.
Yeah, it's silly. It's memorable, but that's who we are. We're just real human, and that's what people like.
That's awesome. Well, we have a bunch of questions coming in around the idea of what other channels are you using in addition to direct mail, or what other channels are you folks using to support the direct mail? And so I want to get into that. And I think this question here from Robert is a good segue. With social media and the internet, does direct mail really still work? So let me throw that first over to you, Lou, since you just made an impression on everyone with your singing talent. Does it really still work compared to digital? How is that possible?
You know, let me put it in a different perspective. Just like team members, so appreciating your employees, right? So people come to work and they work for you, your company, my company, to be able to earn money and make a living, right? So that will get them here, but that won't keep them here, right? In order to keep them here, you need to do a lot more. So it's recognition, it's support, it's a drive, it's keeping things exciting, fun, motivating, moving forward, being part of something bigger than yourself. So direct mail's part of that whole scheme. It's just part of the whole mix of how you're communicating your brand. There still is nothing better than a physical piece of marketing in your hand. You can touch, feel, see. You can't get that through, anything electronic. It's not the same. It's here, it's gone, and you forgot all about it. But a direct mail piece, it may stick around for a little while, especially if it has something that you may need at that time or may need in the future.
Yep.
And, on top of direct mail, so, with Andrew, I send consistently to prospects and my customer base a direct mail piece every month. And then immediately following that piece is an e-card. So an electronic card by email as well. We then follow up after every in-home service visit. You had it up before with a thank you card. So we actually send a handwritten, personalized, well, it's not handwritten, electronically written, but personalized, dear David, thank you so much for your trust and confidence in our services, blah, blah, blah. And we include a $50 comeback card and fast pass. So basically $50 off any future service they could use from us and a fast pass to move to the front of the line, guaranteed same day service. So that type of a thing. In addition, you have up on, no, you don't have on your screen, you did before. So there was a picture of a gal with her hair put up, peace of mind. It says, John, it's your turn. It had a gal like
right here,
50s, right?
Yeah.
So that is following. I chose 8 different types of installs that we do. Could be HVAC, electric panel, could be drain sewer, reline, could be insulation, water heater, water conditioning, wine cellar. So a lot of different stuff. We will send after every install to 150 surrounding homes this piece. And it'll have an offer of a free inspection for that related service and a $50 off coupon. So we're trying to concentrate and not only own the home, but my goal is I choose a zip code, and it has to do with the value of the home and the income of the household. And I look to own that zip code. So we're there, our vans are there. We have a yard sign program that works great with banners related to each service that we provide. We get the customer to agree to put a yard sign in their yard, agree for 2 weeks. We give them $50 off the job. The tech that sells it gets $25 spiff. So that's how it works. We pay people to get things done, kind of like rocket science, right? So the thank you card, that's a big deal. But if I go to look at, I have 2 types of marketing. We have prospects for new customers, and I have existing customers. I actually, since I have so many services that I offer that my customers or prospects would need, I market to my existing customer base. I'm going to say 50 to 60% of my marketing budget is to my existing customers. Because, so, I mean, we look at labor. Labor is our most highly sought after and expensive commodity. So in my business, every dollar of labor carries with it $3.50 of overhead, right? So I want to maximize my labor, my visit in the home with all the services we offer.
Tom, how would you answer this question? Digital, social media? I mean, that's everywhere, right? We see Facebook's revenues, we see Google's revenues, everything's digital. How the heck does direct mail still work?
Well, I would say this. When I hear questions phrased in kind of a negative, like, does direct mail really still work? My spidey senses go to saying, pardon my French, but shitty marketing in any type doesn't work.
There you go.
If you have bad, shitty marketing of any type doesn't work. So if you have bad direct mail, it's not going to work. If you have bad internet, it's not going to work. If you have bad social media, if you have terrible billboards, if you have horrible wraps, if you have horrible employees, it's not going to work. I think what Lou has done an awesome job. Besides singing, he's made a really good point as far as direct mail. I think most less thoughtful business people kind of delegate it away, where you've got to look at, I have a direct mail strategy for this. I have another one for that. I have pieces and messages that all matter. I'm not a fisherman, but what I would say is, if I want to catch a certain kind of a fish, I got to use a certain kind of a bait. And so good direct mail works phenomenally, but it's not easy. You have to put thought and strategy into it. And most people, I think Mackenzie was making this point before, and I would agree with Lou that I'm not a marketer, but most people put more time and energy into how to install a furnace, what brand and features the air conditioner has, and all this kind of stuff. And then they put the least amount of thought into their own brand. They put the least amount of thought into their own reasons why. And I would do an exercise with fellow contractors before, back in the days of the Yellow Pages, and two old timers like Lou and I know what Yellow Pages actually are, the book that used to come. We would take a stack of Yellow Pages with my teams, and I would say, okay, let's make on the board all the things that make us great. And we make a long list, David. Then I'd go hand out Yellow Pages and go, okay, anything that's in any other ad in the Yellow Pages, we got to cross it off because it's not us. And you know what? Most of the times they had a hard time deciding what really was different. We didn't put as much thought into that as to how we brazed the pipe, how we installed the water heater, how we did a technical thing. So
nuts and bolts.
Crappy marketing doesn't work in any place. We want evidence. The Super Bowl had the crappiest ads in the history of Super Bowl ads. They were the most boring, uninspiring things. And that's, you saw everybody posting like, let's go back to this other time. No medium is immune to crappy messages.
Drew, what are your thoughts on this? I know you have kind of a different view. What are your thoughts?
Dave, 98% of people who get mail, who you send out to, have to touch it. They have to feel it. It touches all five senses. No other medium does that. It's impossible. Let's look at the behemoths of the Renewal by Andersons, the Planet Fitnesses, the True Greens, the Terminexes, the McDonald's, the Coca-Colas. Give me and this is a game that we love to play at work. Like, give me a product that's synonymous with, like a brand that's synonymous with the product. Like, it's not petroleum jelly. It's not Vaseline. It's petroleum jelly. People, it's not FedEx. It's overnight. So what direct mail does is it allows Hobaica, like Griffin services, be that person that when the homeowner gets his piece of mail, that they're synonymous with the services that are being offered. My question to you is, and I believe in layers, but does digital work? I mean, there's 17 people fishing in the same pond for the same leads, and you have the agencies who aren't selling direct mail because there's no non-transparency. It's completely non-transparent. You don't know what you're buying. You don't know whether you're getting remnants. You don't you don't know whether the bots are coming in and looking at your,
Yep.
you know, there was an ad release just recently saying at a Facebook ad that 60% of your ads are going to are being
The wrong
viewed by
target.
bots, because in order to meet the demand of people trying to get it. But like, name me a company that built a brand off of digital marketing, like the companies that we're talking about. As far as like, do people want mail? 70% of millennials prefer direct mail over any other form of advertising. The mailbox, which used to have 50 to 60 pieces in it, now have 6 or 7 pieces in it. You can own a mailbox. You get an email after, if I get on a phone call, by the time I'm done with the phone call, that email's lost. It's 65 deep and it's lost. You know, you're paying for ads that are playing in the background. Like when you scroll down on the Yahoo page and that video loads up, like that doesn't load up until you get down to the next ad. That's a view, you know. When somebody types in the name Griffin Services into Google, that's a pay-per-click. I mean, like, how is that a pay-per-click? That was brought in by some outside exterior force. That was brought in by his trucks, by his yard signs, by his radius mailers, by his direct mail, by referrals, by, you know, word of mouth, however it is. But that's not a digital lead. But, you know, I ask anybody in the audience, go to your phone right now, go to Google and type in roofer near me, HVAC near me. The first page is going to be LSA, which is now on a bidding system. The second page is going to be a map. The third page is going to be Home Advisors, Angie's List, Yelp, like all investing in another, taking your money and investing in another product that's not your brand. Like if you're going to go into business, invest in yourself, invest in your brand. You know, get your ROI today, but plant the seeds like all our predecessors, like the companies that I named before. Plant the seeds so that you're going to get your business today, but you're also going to get your business for the rest of your life. You know, right now we're taking, in all industries, we're taking non-instant gratification and we're turning it into instant gratification. And it's so hard right now because most of the people who come to me, they don't even know how to wean off of it because they have so many employees and they're losing money on it. They actually are spending so much money. There's people spending $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a month on pay-per-click, and they're losing money, but they're afraid to let it go because they're afraid that they're not going to be able to keep, you know, to feed the beast. You know, what comes first when you're hiring employees? Do you get the lead first or do you get the employees first, you know? And
I want to hear your thoughts on this, Tom. But before I turn it over to you, Drew, I picked up in your meeting yesterday in the mastermind you invited me to. You have a very loving reference to pay-per-click. You call it something a little bit different. What is that? You don't remember? Tom knows.
I call it pay-per-crack.
Yep.
You get the first drugs for free, then you pay after that. You know, I think what Andrew's saying is very valid. And what I would say it is, think about, it's easier for a business owner to subrogate out responsibility for marketing to a third party like a Home Advisor or an Angie's List or even pay-per-click. All you do is bid. He doesn't have to think very much because he doesn't have to be creative. He doesn't have to be thoughtful. And a really important thing about mailbox right now is with some of the COVID times and other things, the mailbox is dwindling. One of the first things people are pulling out of marketing is the harder to be successful and think and spend more time thoughtfully in your messaging, which is direct mail. So they pull it out. So more and more, the better your marketing presence in the mailbox is, the more chance it has of being seen, the less chance it has of being junk mail and thrown away. And I've seen, and think somebody put in the comments, big companies are starting to go back to really expensive direct mail for a reason. Like, how are we going to reinvent it as a little guy? Let's follow the auto manufacturers. Let's follow the national retailers. They know things before we know them. And so
who's the biggest direct mailer in the world?
I wouldn't have a guess at that.
Google.
Mic drop.
You know, Google is the biggest direct mailer in the world. So, you know, I mean, they believe in it, you know. I mean, it's like, you know, Tom, if your tech wants to quit tomorrow, and what's the barrier to entry to for him to put up an ad on pay-per-click and sell a product 25% cheaper than you, and go on his own or do business on the side? You know, like what, you know, the brand, I mean, and I think that's what gets overlooked so much is, you know, what is the brand that you're building that is going to, like, you own a mailbox, you own a home, like Lou says, you have a brand, like you have commitment from people, and there is a barrier to entry. If you hit a mailbox 6 times in a row, good luck trying to mail into the same mailboxes that Tom and Lou are mailing into. You're gonna fail miserably because they own that mailbox, they own that home.
Well, we
Lou,
recently had a really good example.
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Well, during the election season, you know, they didn't shy away from mailing. Those are the biggest, boldest, most frequent postcards you got. Because they don't work, they mailed them because they had nothing better to spend their money on. I mean, they know it works. People at a very high level understand how to influence the message. Now, they didn't just do mail. They had radio ads and TV ads and online, and mail was a component to integrate that message.
Right. Lou, do you want to add something onto that? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so Dave, I want you to bring up a slide that will tie well into this. It was a cartoon 15 years ago today.
Yes.
Sign letters, ding, mail, right, today. So that ties directly into what we're talking about right here. I mean, 15, 20, 30 years ago, I mean, if you got a email, it was like, wow, I got an email. There wasn't any electronic email, digital type marketing, but everything was through the mail. Now today, direct mail is that different piece of marketing. It's that memorable piece of marketing. So for me, prospectively in my business, my largest and most profitable customer segment is between 50 and 75. That's my largest, most profitable customer segment. These are individuals that they're doing pretty well in life. They probably own their home. They have a lot of equity, and they want to be comfortable. And that encompasses a lot of baby boomers and a lot of retired individuals. So for a lot of retired individuals, the mailbox visit and going through the mail is like their biggest event of the day. They have money. They want to be comfortable, right? They're stuck at home, especially during COVID. So we're here to be able to serve them. And that direct mail is very memorable. It sticks around for a while, especially if you use offers to get them to keep them around.
So Lou,
it's an average shelf life of 17 days. And there's no other medium that has that.
For direct mail?
I think the key that I've learned from my clients from these Zoom groups and is that, you know, it's the message. It's not offering what you want to sell people. It's finding out what the problem is and offering them a solution, you know, to that problem. You know, one of the conversations we recently had is how do you get somebody to react when there's no catalyst, when it's January and it's February and the weather's moderate, or, you know, or like but that's not what it's about. It's about branding yourself so that when the catalyst does come, they're calling you. You know, it's
our community here.
Sorry to interrupt, but who doesn't have a direct mail drawer? I mean, I don't know anyone in my life that doesn't get mail pieces and know that in a month from now I'm going to need that, and they take that and they put it in their drawer. I can tell you personally, I have a direct mail drawer. I don't know anyone who doesn't.
Yeah, I think we have a few.
When I have a need, I go to that drawer and I get that piece and I call that company.
Mackenzie,
and the more I see that company, the more I trust them and the more I put it in the drawer.
I'll tell you one quick story, Mackenzie. I have a tree guy who's in Connecticut who mails 250,000 pieces 10 times a year. to the same exact homes. And he's been doing it year after year after year. And when the storm hit up 2 years ago in May and Connecticut got demolished, he didn't have a mail piece out. He doesn't do any digital marketing. And I believe in layers. I do believe in layers. I believe everything makes everything work better. And nobody can ever tell you where, like I said, where a lead actually comes from, because what touch point actually makes that lead trigger.
Mm-hmm.
But he got over 2,500 calls from this storm, from people going to Google, typing in his name and calling him without a card in front of him. It's just like what Tom was saying, like you go into a home and you ask the person, well, who you can name. If I call these 250,000 people, the only person that they knew of was K&J Tree. He's branded himself so well that they don't know of anybody else.
Lou, you want to add something there?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to follow up on Mackenzie. So she makes a really great point. Whether it's a direct mail drawer, it's a pile, it's a file. So let's put this in perspective. All of us that own homes have had projects that we're planning on getting accomplished in our home, or a future need that we know is going to happen. So at that point, kind of like the car effect, when you're shopping for a new car or thinking about a new car, all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere. And before that, you never saw them. Right. Direct mail is no different. If you're planning on a future project, or summer's around the corner and you know your HVAC is getting old, or your neighbors have had their sewer replaced and you're in the same age and you haven't, electrical panel, whatever it is, you're going to see these direct mail pieces if they're memorable, they're different, they have offers, and you're going to save them in that direct mail drawer. So when your need does come, I do the same thing. When your need comes, you're going to go to that file, that drawer, that compilation that you've collected, and you're going to go through, and that's the ones that are going to get the opportunities.
Yep.
Lou, our community here loves specific examples, and I want you first, Lou, and then Tom, to give one here, one specific format, postcard piece, or offer that you've recently used that's a little bit different, that's maybe a little bit, that stands out for some reason, that you think exemplifies your creativity and your spirit around trying new things and being on the leading edge. So let me start with you, Lou. What's one example of something that recently worked that's kind of your favorite, that stands out in your mind?
All right, so listen carefully, because I'm going to give you some serious gold here. This isn't something that can be done all the time, but maybe once a year, maybe twice a year. So Tom was actually in Phoenix, maybe September, October timeframe for a conference. And he sat down, we visited, and Tom and I have known each other for 30 years. Anyway, so we sat down, we were trying to just brainstorm some different direct mail pieces. And we came up with an idea that, okay, we all have credit cards, right? And when you apply for a new card, the new card comes in the mail, or your replacement card comes in the mail. How does it come? It comes in a non-descriptive blank white envelope with no return address. And you pick it up, you look at it, you're not sure what it is. So it goes left hand, right hand, trash cans over there. That's the save. You feel it, you feel something hard inside. Okay, it's worthwhile, at least looking, might be a credit card. So you have to save it. So everything else goes in the trash. You carry your save pile into your kitchen, your counter, your desk, wherever you're going to open your mail up. You open that up. So basically, we designed a piece, and I used it as a closeout special for 2020. I launched it just after election, so I had about 6 weeks to the year end for a closeout special of HVAC equipment. And what I did is we took a blank white envelope, right, no return address, and we stuck a letter, so a letter offer folded, tri-folded, and on the outside we put a hard plastic credit card-like feel, look-alike card on the outside with a short description, very obvious what it was, this offer, this closeout special. So basically our whole goal was to get it opened, right? So they don't know what it is. It's a credit card. They're going to open it, immediately open it. They see this closeout special. So if they ever had any thought, idea, inclination that their HVAC may be in its last leg, they've gotten quotes to replace it before, everybody else has got it done in their neighborhood, they know they should do it, their electric bills are getting high, they're afraid it may go out, they've had large repairs, whatever the case is, they're going to look at it. So I would say it got in the 90 to 100. If it was in their hands, I guarantee it got open. 99% open rate.
Amazing.
From
Amazing.
that piece, that closeout special, that brought me in over $500,000 in sales just from that piece. Now, December in Phoenix, Arizona, not a great month for me. I'm about an $11 million service retrofit company. And December, people in Phoenix have better things to do with their money coming into the holidays and Christmas, and it's not really cold here. So we had a record-breaking $1.1 million December, and December is usually kind of crappy. But that was an excellent December for us. And it was really due to that piece, that credit card, fake credit card look, feel, touch, seems like, open it up, a really nice offer. Everybody likes a deal. And we just really blew that one up.
Wow, what a great example, folks. Over at
All my
LinkedIn and Zoom
clients,
and
like-
Facebook, drop an X if you just got some value out of Lou's example there.
And
What were you going to say, Drew?
Lou and Tom called me up and on a Zoom call where we had 50 other clients, and they said, Andrew, this is what we're doing for December.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to go out and get all the machines, for the tabbers and the, but it's amazing. It's just, it's incredible to be a part of something, I keep saying the word ecosystem. It just doesn't do it justice. Like, we are a family.
Community.
Not only our
Yeah.
team, but our clients are a family.
Yep.
And there's, we don't take on clients that we don't like, and our clients like each other, and they all come together, and it's amazing to watch one idea morph on a call where everybody's like, yeah, that's a great idea, but oh my God, I haven't thought of that, or I'm having trouble with this, and I'm having trouble with this, and the ideas that come through, and that's why every month we're doing something different, because it's not, like, we're not a direct mail house. Somebody wants to call up and buy 50,000 postcards and do it one time.
That's not you.
Sure, let me give you somebody else's number.
Yep.
We're a model. We're a model where we say we're gonna do this data and analytics for you. We're gonna mail to your prospects every month. We're gonna, mail to your existing clients every month. We're gonna mail radius mailers. We're gonna pull them weekly. We're gonna send thank you cards at the end, each month, and we're gonna provide the materials like Lou was talking about, like those referral cards that he gives out, and Tom gives out, that says to your client, here's a $50 referral card. Give it to a friend, a family, or coworker, and write your name on the back of it. And if it works, we'll send you $50. And that's the cheapest way that you're ever going to acquire an account. You don't get what you don't ask for. We sell yard signs at $5. We sell 4 mil vinyl, stickers that are, UV coated and weatherproof. And, we might sell them in lots of 5,000, but instead of, Tom came to me and said, here, I'm about to buy 1,000. These at 90 cents each. And I'm like, well, I can't, let me see what I can do. And I came back to him. I was like, I can't do 1,090 cents, but I can do 5,000 for 20 cents, so.
Tom, let me ask you that question. And I see so many questions still coming in for you gentlemen. Really appreciate you staying here. And I appreciate everybody in the community and the audience sticking around. I know they're getting a lot of value. Tom, I want to know from you, we just heard a really cool example from Lou. I know that you always try to one-up him, right? So let's hear it. What do you got?
I'd rather collaborate with him than one up him. So when I believe in marketing, and Lou's, the card we did was a good example of it. And it goes to some of the earlier questions about junk mail and does it really work?
Okay.
People are busier than ever. They're being bombarded by more of every type of message than ever. So I believe that entertainment is the currency with which we can buy someone's attention, even for like 2 or 3 seconds. So the feel of that card, knowing, oh boy, I don't remember ordering a credit card, that gets that pause to set it aside. Our most successful pieces, there was one you showed that had a baby with oh shit, but the shit was like, kind of symbols. That people stop on that mail because the baby has a different look, the headline is different. And so I feel like when the one we did with No BS worked very well, something that just can break the monotony of the things they're hearing and seeing, make a piece more successful. What I don't think makes a piece successful is pictures of windows and air conditioners and water heaters and trucks and real crappy pictures of you, like the owner, like looking all cheesy and stuff. You know, you have to, if you're going to use images, they need to be good images. You know, we looked at some the other day, and Andrew looped me in and said, hey, can you take a look at this? Because he always will say, can you help one of my other customers? And we do in this ecosystem, as he puts it. I'll jump on the phone with any of his people and try to do my best as a peer to help them out. But I said, you know, they're using images of themselves and they don't look very happy.
Right.
Like the people seeing this ad thing, these are some miserable mofos, man. These are not happy people. And so that's what I would say. The imagery and the headlines and the messaging has to be entertaining enough or distracting enough to break the routine, because we just go through life and don't even pay attention. So when you've got,
I want to pick up on something there that you shared yesterday in the mastermind, and it involved, you know, you rolling up your sleeves and showing us your tattoos. Tell us about that a little bit and how you perceive the need for real photos versus, you know, stock photography as it pertains to what you're communicating out there to your market.
Yeah, I think we were saying last night, you know, people asked what's like one thing you could do, and I said, invest in professional photography. It's $500. Get your people, have a photographer follow your team around for a day and take pictures of your men doing the things you want to promote. And you can leverage those in other ways, digitally and stuff, but you don't want to be promoting your service and be talking about why you like a Hobaica and then using some generic Google picture that 1,500 other contractors use. You want a Hobaica technician in that picture. You as an owner, if you're going to be in it, don't be who you're not. You know, I've seen Lou's stuff, and him and his brothers I've known for a long time. When you see a picture, that's, if you ran into him in the restaurant, those are the guys you're going to see. I did say with tattoos and stuff, I don't hide that. That's, if you're going to be unhappy that I have tattoos, then you're going to be unhappy when my people show up at your house. So I think that's kind of the entertainment value of things, or and not like entertainment, like tell a joke or whatever, but something that just gets a pause or a break in the thinking. And each person's different. I mean, each company, what I do at Griffin, Lou cannot out Griffin, and I can't out Hobaica. So finding your DNA of what is your true thing, and then making it a purple unicorn, making it the black sheep and all the white sheep, that it stands out, that will break the attention enough. And it's definitely in the mail. But if you're integrating that, it's also in social media, and it's also in your website, and it's also other places. You know, something as stupid as, you know, 80 or 90% of all trucks and logos in the HVAC industry are dominated by red and blue. So start a new company and make a red and blue company. It's going to stand out like crazy. Like, why don't you make, you know, a pink and purple truck that no one else has?
Right.
That's the difference in, I think, getting people's attention in the most successful campaigns.
What I want to do for a moment, folks, let me transition to getting to your questions here, your real-time questions. And I want to do that by giving you an opportunity. If you want to learn more specifically about what Drew can help your business achieve, if you're a residential service provider, contractor, if you aspire to be like Tom and Lou, I want to give you an opportunity to find out more and get more details from these folks. Or if you want to learn more about how to employ these kinds of direct mail campaigns and use digital technology to support them in the ways that we've described, I want to give you an opportunity to find out more about that. So here's how we can help. We've set aside time with our team, with Drew, and Lou and Tom have also been very gracious to speak to you. If you need help, if you want to learn how to use direct mail in the way that Drew and Tom and Lou have talked about, we want to give you a way to actually talk to us one-on-one about that. I know there's a lot of different types of companies here. And so depending on what your need is and what your objectives are, like Mackenzie said, and like Tom echoed, we want to reverse engineer back from where your problem is to help you take that next step. There's no obligation, of course, but if you want to sign up for an opportunity to talk to us, there's a URL there on the screen. Mackenzie Suzanne and Jessica are also going to throw it into the various chats wherever you are in Zoom, LinkedIn, and Facebook. What you do when you go there, it's a little form you can fill out, first name, last name, email, and then there's a little box where you can type in what you're interested in. Let us know what kind of help you think you might need, whether it be something that Drew can provide. Maybe you want to get input from Tom or Lou. And what we are going to do is direct the questions to the right folks. And if a one-on-one call would be something that's useful to you, we'd be happy to arrange that. So who is this for? If, like I said, you're a contractor, residential service provider, and you want to find out more, maybe get Drew's help in looking at, hey, is this something that would help my business? Then let's set up a time to talk. If you happen to be a printer or an agency or a marketing services company in the audience, part of our community, and you want to learn more about how to use direct mail and perhaps the ways that Drew is describing and what you're hearing from the panel today, we can help you with that. All right. So if you want that help, Mackenzie's going to drop that URL into the chats, and Suzanne and Jessica will do the same. And like I said, the purpose of the call is just to get clear what your goals are and see what specific steps you can take to get where you want to be, depending on what your objectives are. So when you go to that URL, this is what you're going to see. There's a little form. It is on Mindfire's website, but like I said, we will be routing based on whatever it is that you think you need, whatever help it is that you're looking for. Drew, Tom, and Lou have all been very gracious and are obviously willing to help, as are we here at Mindfire. So we'd love to talk to you if that's something that would be useful to you. Mackenzie, just confirm you've thrown that into the chat. Okay, looks like you have. Okay, good. And Jessica and Suzanne will do the same as well. And what I want to do now in the time that we have left, man, we have still a lot of people here. I want to take some real-time questions for Lou, Tom, or Drew. And so let's do this. Mackenzie, over from Zoom, since you've been in Zoom, give me a question, and let's address that to one of the three gentlemen here on the panel. What do you see that stands out to you?
Yeah, so a big one that a lot of people want to know about is tracking ROI on direct mail, especially if, as an example, they go to Google after they see the postcard and call your company. Go ahead, Tom.
This is kind of a pet peeve of mine. So I think today, with Google being the great equalizer, tracking a campaign, a specific campaign, as much as you'd like to ideally say there are, and I will say we have a tracking number on every piece we do to see something. But what we've learned in scaling rapidly in Florida was to track the total calls. Do I care, honestly, if I have a budget and I'm living within it and I have a required number of leads and I'm achieving them? The mixture changes. If I went back, like I did a direct mail thing, and Andrew knows this, I said, okay, let's look at the direct, how many people called the number on the piece of mail. And it wasn't the numbers we expected. But I also looked at my call reports and saw that for 6 days, my call volume was 25% plus higher when the mail hit the mailbox. But also my online submissions or my Google phone number was higher. So was it actually that they didn't call on the piece because it was the only marketing going, or just coincidentally Google was better that week? And it happened month after month after month. So I think the ROI question for me, I would ask everybody to maybe think about it differently than just the specific thing, and look at it as a holistic ROI. Are you staying within your total budget? Are you generating the calls? And if you're not, then you start to get into the weeds and say, what thing isn't working? What messaging isn't right? But also listen to the phone calls on all the tracking numbers and hear what they say. They call a Google phone number and they say these magic words to Andrew's ears. I got your postcard. Is that a Google lead or is that a postcard lead? Because Google's phone number is certainly taking damn credit for it. That's just one perspective, but it's definitely how we operate.
Tom, I just saw someone drop the word genius there in the chat. So I think they appreciate your response there. Thank you for that insight and that gold. Jessica and Suzanne, drop me in the back channel here in Ring Central any questions that you're pulling out of those social channels. I see a number of people asking, hey, sorry, I have to leave early. Thomas is saying, hey, it's 7 p.m. for me here. And others are asking, how do I get the recording of this? I want to share it with my team. So folks, yes, it's being recorded. We will follow up and get the recording to all of you, and it will be available on the web as well. Mackenzie, what would you say the next question is that you've seen come through Zoom that seems to be prevalent?
So yeah, we got a lot of questions about this regarding current USPS delays with mail. Does that affect into your strategy? Do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Is that too?
Drew, you want to take that?
Yeah, you want to take
Well,
that? I think
well,
I could no hearing you answer, but I'd like to hear from you.
So yeah, there have been delays, and there's been delays in everything with COVID, and the elections didn't help, and the runoff didn't help, and I think things are getting a little bit better. But with employees being out, you know, it's a challenge for direct mail marketing companies, especially like someone like ourselves to put out hundreds of millions of pieces per year. That you know, that we do everything that we can. Where we're a certified postal agency, and it's being the mail is being approved in-house, and it's going out FedEx and being drop shipped to the locations, and then sometimes it might sit in the post office for a week. But at the end of the day, it's like a diet. It's not about the day, it's not about the week, it's not about the month, it's about the year. You know, so if you mail 12 times a year, you know, and you do the right type of mailing, like, you know, it never really came up, but you know, Tom and Lou will tell you that 75% of their business comes from their existing clients. You know what I'm saying? That's why at the beginning I said like existing client mailers are so important. At the end of the day, if you hit those people 12 times a year, when they need their system, when they need their plumbing, when they need their roof done, when they need their, you know, when they need to lose weight, when they need to go to a gym, when they're going to call you. So, you know, I think yes, we would love for everything to be timed perfectly, but it's a year.
Yeah, that's what based on what you guys have all said, it's very clear that it's not about the one mailer, right? It's a consistent effort over time. And if one piece is late, you're hitting them consistently, right? You're not, because you're setting yourself up for the future by doing your marketing on a consistent basis. That one piece, if it's a little bit late, isn't detrimental. Kind of going back to your example about the gym, Andrew, right? If you're consistently on a plan for the entire year and you go on holiday for 5 days, those 5 days on holiday, when you eat and drink and do whatever you do, are not going to affect the entire year's work if you put in that work throughout the whole year. But they do if that 5 days a year is the only time that you're putting work in.
Folks, if you want help, and I see Scott has already got a time on the calendar here, and Angela has done the same, and a few others as well. If you want to talk to Drew, if you want to figure out how the unique way that Drew and his company are using direct mail, and if it can help you, like I said, as a contractor, service provider, servicing residents, servicing consumers the way Tom and Lou are doing. Mackenzie's going to drop that URL again in the chat. These folks have been very gracious with their time, not only today, but also going forward, and take advantage of that. If this is something you think can help you, go to that URL, Facebook, LinkedIn, Zoom. It's going to be in all of those places. And we'd love to talk to you about how we can help you with that. Tom, I'll get to you in just one sec. The other thing is, if you're a printer, if you're an agency in our community and you want to understand some of the innovative ways that direct mail is being used today, and you're wondering, hey, is this a value-added service that I can start to offer my clients using modern mechanisms to support that direct mail? We'd be happy to talk to you about that as well. Grab a time, fill in the form, let us know what your issue is, what it is that you're trying to solve, and we'd be happy to talk to you about that. Tom, go ahead.
Piggyback off Mackenzie and Andrew with mail delays. I think for most of home services, these are grudge purchases. They're not like super sexy. I want to buy an AC. I want to buy a furnace. I want to buy a water heater. I need a sewer line. Even things like air filtration and water filtration are not desirable, sexy purchases. They're grudge purchases. And so the goal of marketing is not to be in the mailbox or in the hand the day the water heater breaks, because that's a very long shot bet. The goal of marketing is to be the company they think of first and they trust the most whenever that day comes. So the mail being 3 days this way or 5 days that way is not affecting the moment of truth to make that decision, because that's such a long shot. It's just consistently saying, these are the guys I know the Hobaica guys, I seen them, I like them, I see them in the neighborhood, and the oh crap day comes, and then that's the zero moment of truth for you. So the timing of the mail may have more to do if you're a retailer and you're having a Valentine's Day sale, or it's the Black Friday or whatever, but it's home services. It's consistently communicating that you're the guy and the one they can trust.
Yep, makes sense. Lou, do you agree with that? Is that how you see things? And is that how you, from your vantage point, look over your marketing and how you're engaging your clients?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Be memorable, communicate your brand and the way you want to be remembered, and they will save it in their drawer, their pile. And that time comes, you're going to be the vetted guy, even though they may not have used you before, but the proof of everything that they've built with your reputation and thought and what you're presenting and your why, they're going to go to you and you're going to get that opportunity. And all we're looking for is opportunities. We have an opportunity, we do well with those.
I see, Tom.
How many times do you reach out to your clients per year? Your existing clients?
So if you're a brand new, if you're an existing client of mine, you will hear from us 60 to 70 times every year. We
That's
don't
amazing.
go away unless you ask us to go away.
So,
But one thing I can promise is we are the most likable people you'll ever meet.
There you go. What were you saying, Drew?
No, I was saying, like, it's not just direct mail. I mean, you're mailing to them once a month. It's costing $5 a year. What are your other mechanisms? You're hitting a phone call. You're sending an email. So that's 36. So where are you getting the other 34 or 24? Get the math.
Yeah. So Lou, people are saying, tell us again how many times you're mailing. One more
So
time.
not mailing. This is touching. How many
Touching,
times
yeah.
I touch? So
Yep.
I mean, we have mail, we have email, we have yard signs, we have billboards in and out of the neighborhood, the zip codes that we want to own. We have radius mailers. We have thank you cards with gift cards. We tag the entire home with emergency shutoff valve tags on all the emergency shutoff valves with a $50 coupon on any service moving forward. We sticker all the equipment. We have 6 different leave behind promo items that are highly valued and sought after and used by homeowners that are tied to every service we offer. So just staying aware, keeping top of mind in the home, so the next time they have a need, they're going to think of, I'll throw it your way, Tom, they're going to think of Griffin service.
Griffin. Yeah. I see folks over in LinkedIn saying, wow, I really have to talk to Andrew. So Jessica or Suzanne, whoever's in LinkedIn, make sure folks have that URL. I think that was John who said that. John, go to that form, fill that in, let us know specifically what you're thinking, and we'll make sure you get connected with Andrew. I see Jessica said that in response to your comment, Tom, about seeing how many calls you're getting on your direct mail, folks are asking, do you use a specific phone number, a trackable phone number on those direct mail pieces?
We do. So like I say, we do track, and maybe it's because been around so long. There was a point in time you couldn't see all these fancy dashboards. You had to rely on phone tracking. We track every referral card. Every employee's got their own number that we track how well they refer. Every mail piece has a tracking number. So we know all of Beth's phone calls. We know we went away from like special numbers on our trucks and things because those are our branded number. But so we probably have, oh gosh, Lou, we probably have 30 or 40 tracking numbers. So we do look at that, but we also look to see, like back to the mail delay. I'm more going to ask Andrew's team, what's the mailbox date of that mail? Because I want to see my overall call count go. So every morning in my team huddle, I find out how many phone calls, how many conversions, how many aged appointments. We know our score every day. So if I know mailbox's date is Tuesday, I'm going to expect a phone increase, and I'm going to see it. I'm going to go from this many hundred calls to this many calls today for how many days. Then I'll see it drop off potentially after those 5 or 6 days. But today alone, David, I had 2 calls off of a November offer.
November, so last year
for free camera inspection. to the point where the dispatchers were like, do we have an offer going again for a camera inspection? And we have a board of, I'm like, no, that was before Thanksgiving. So November, December, January, February, 4 months later, they're calling for a sewer problem. And oh, by the way, I'd like the free camera.
Yep.
So tracking number is the same for all that. But so I don't know if it answers the question exactly, but we have many tracking numbers. We do try to sort and sift, but we're going to back it all up to the total incoming calls.
I have a question for everybody who's still here. So
the tracking numbers are irrelevant, Dave.
What's that?
At the end of the day, the tracking numbers are irrelevant. At the end of the day, Google is a toll booth, and we have to accept that every single lead is going to go through Google, and that unless you're going to go and do an audit of your Google and find out how many people put your actual name into the box, that more and more that it's going to happen. We did a holdout test for that national chain who didn't believe that people were going to come in with their postcards, and they're running the same offer every time. So we did a holdout test where we met the homes number 1, 11, 21, 31, 41, 51, 61, 70. We held those out. The person mailed 1 million pieces, 900,000 pieces, and we held out 90,000 pieces. Then we went back afterwards. We took the signups, we matched them back to the type of signups that they were, and it was a 47% net lift of people who received mail, who didn't receive mail after paying for the cost of mail. It's like, so I mean, it's like, is anybody to come in with a television? Is anybody to come in with a radio? Does anybody, it's all going to go through the internet. And so all I can say about call tracking is that it's good for you to know just to feel that your phone's ringing. But at the end of the day, we'll give you, there are ways to do matchback reports that we can show you relevantly when a piece went out and, when someone called. Talking about that November piece, Tom, I had a client who ran in 2018 in September, and he put out 25,000 pieces, and he was supposed to put out 25,000 pieces 3 times. And he only put it out once, and he quit. And he said he got no calls. And I saw his call tracking, he needed 29 calls, good or bad, who knows. But I was going through call tracking, 3 months ago, and I went and I came across that account. I was just curious, and he still got, this year, he still got 10 calls. It was for that 29 calls, it was up to 104 calls. So over 2 years, he picked up, after the first 3 months, the next 19 months, he picked up another 75 calls over the next 19 months from that piece.
Wow.
So,
I have a question, Drew, for everybody in the audience, actually. I want to ask all of you here that are still with us, and thank you for still being here and participating. I see Jill and Scott and Angela and Larry and a number of you are asking for time on the calendars, and we'd love to be able to talk to you one-on-one. That URL is in the chat and was on the screen a second ago. But here's my question for all of you. What was the thing that you heard today that maybe Tom said, that Lou said, Drew said, maybe Mackenzie, that unlocks some value for you? Something that you hadn't considered before, something that maybe you had forgotten about, something new that you heard today. Take a moment, give us that gift of your feedback, drop it into the chat, whether that is in Zoom, in LinkedIn, or in Facebook. We want to hear what that is for you. And I see, Mackenzie, that you mentioned, let's see, Gail was asking a specific question. As you're thinking about what the value was and dropping that into the chat, Mackenzie, what was the question that Gail had?
Yeah, so Gail was asking some questions about high-end, how you use direct mail for high-end. So not things like HVAC, but if you're doing a custom remodel or a high-end remodel, luxury remodel, how are you leveraging direct mail to focus on that market segment?
So it's targeting. It's targeting. It's putting out the correct piece. It's putting out the right message. The days of splash and spray are over, and that's what I was trying to get to when we show you when we find out who your exact client is, and then we find out profile clients who are similar to those clients so that we can not waste the money on going after apartments and condos or carrier routes that don't meet those specifications. And you know, if you want to put a gloss on it, you want to put a UV coating on it, you want to not put coupons on it, you know, it's branding. It's branding, and there's really no other medium out there that brands. You know, I mean, obviously there's billboards, you know, but and billboards are great. Television and radio are fantastic for branding, but look at the relevancy of television and radio and how over the years, you know, through Netflix and DVR and streaming and, you know, casting, that it's not as relevant as it once was. So targeting, finding your exact client, finding the correct piece and giving the correct message.
What's
I love that.
interesting?
Yeah.
What's interesting that I see that folks are responding with here in terms of what was of value to them, I think it's always interesting to hear what stands out. And one of them was the stat that you shared, Drew. I think it was you, around 70% of millennials preferring direct mail. Art said that despite the specific method of outreach, most people go to Google before they call. And so that's some interesting perspective there. I think Mark raises an interesting point here, saying, I never thought of HVAC as being a grudge purchase previously, but it is true. That changes the way I will look at my future marketing. Also, I like tracking service calls per day, and that's an interesting stat as well. I see Angela saying, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for sharing the link. So great feedback there, folks. Thank you for that. If anything else jumped out at you today, for Lou, for Tom, for Drew, please let us know. And before you leave, please give those guys a little love. Go into the chat, whether it's in Zoom or in LinkedIn or in Facebook, drop some X's to show them some love there. If you got value from what they shared, we appreciate them being so freely giving of their insights and their experiences. I see Brett dropping some love there for Lou, Tom, and Drew. Keep those coming in. Ed says the same. I see Ashley doing it as well. Thank you for that. I see John and Ed have booked some time to talk further about this. Thank you, folks, for that. We really appreciate it. Jennifer says you were all fantastic, Lou, Tom, and Drew. Thank you for sharing your insights. Mark says this has been a great presentation. Thank you. Wayne says, Dave and Mackenzie, this is the best you have ever done. Well, it was Tom, Lou, and Drew, not Dave and Mackenzie. But thank you for that. That's humbling. You knocked it out of the park. The three guests were great. Thank you to all. Jim says, thank you. Mark says, great session. Thank you for all the insight. Randall says, thank you for this. For those of you who are new here today, I hope you come back to an upcoming session. We'll certainly have Drew back on the show, and Lou will probably come and sing something longer for us in one of his upcoming appearances here. And maybe Tom, what do you do? Tom, do you have any special talents outside of growing businesses?
The show is his tattoos.
Yeah, his
Definitely
tattoos,
not
maybe?
singing. It's definitely not singing. That's for sure.
Here's a good question from Don saying, hey, are any of you using QR codes to help drive prospects to a landing page or your website? Lou or Tom? No? Drew, are you seeing that in any of your customers?
You know, not as much as I know there was a period of time where it was all the rage putting QR codes. But technology, everything's at your fingertips at all times. So I just, it's just as easy to get to the website any other way with your phone, with your tablet. So I don't get a lot of people requesting QR codes to put on.
I see Paul saying, wow, touching customers 60 times a month. Or that was Paula, I think, said that. 60 times a month. Wow, I'm going to do that now. Yeah, that was a year, right?
A year.
Yeah. But Paula, go for it. Let's see what happens. If you want to talk further, Paula, Don, Gail, I see all of you here still. I see many, many people here. I'm going to throw the URL back up on the screen one more time, mindfiremarketing.com/yes. That is a Mindfire URL. But as I mentioned to you, if you want time with Drew at the best postcards, if you want insight from Tom and Lou, go over there, fill in that form. Let us know what's on your mind, what you need. and how we can help. Mackenzie, if you don't mind, drop that into the chat one more time. I know you've done it numerous times already, but thank you for doing that. And same for Jessica and Suzanne over wherever you are on socials. Let's get that in there. Thank you for that. Dar says, this was a really excellent session. Kirk says, thank you for your time. Jim says, the biggest takeaway for me is that direct mail does work. Fantastic. That is a significant takeaway and certainly what we were hoping to accomplish. Well, look, folks, we've gone over the allotted time today. And so I don't want to hold Lou, Tom, and Drew any longer than necessary. But if you've got a question, I'm going to wait another few seconds. If you have any other questions, Mackenzie, do you see anything else that's jumping out? I mean, we had tons of questions, so I'm sure we didn't get to everything. But if you're still here and you've got a burning question, now's your time to ask. Mackenzie, did we miss anything here that you think we should take?
So, yeah, we have one last one, which is, so regarding the 60 to 70 touch points per year that you invest in marketing to your customers, about how much does that work out in cost per year? So how much are you spending on those touches to market to your customers? Maybe it's a percent or a dollar amount, something like that.
8 to 10%.
There you go. Love it. The other thing is, a lot of people are asking for information. They loved the matchback report, the ROI. I think people were pretty shocked that you can get it down to that level. So everyone out there, if you want to see more of those, if you want Andrew to walk you through one of those and explain to you all the details, someone actually specifically asked, can I zoom in and see it? So we're going to be sending out the recording, but Andrew has tons of them and he'd be happy to walk you through them and show how you can.
Mackenzie, if there's anybody who wants to know a little bit about their business, we don't require that, to go through, like, send us your customer list and we'll have a data analyst get on the phone with you and do a matchback, and not do a matchback, but show you a little bit about your business. We've done okay for ourselves. Now's our time to help people, and if we can educate you at all about your business, and there's no commitment, if you want to know a little bit more about your customers and stuff like that, we're happy to, we're happy to do it for you. And just know
that's an incredible offer.
Nothing.
So everyone, if you heard Andrew, you can go over to that link, mindfiremarketing.com/yes, and just say that, hey, I want that awesome offer that Andrew just gave to give me some insight on my business and my customers. So he's just agreed to sort of, to do that for you. As he said, let's work together as a community. So if you want that,
analysts, I can't do them all in one day, but we will do it for anybody who wants our help.
That's amazing.
For the folks over in LinkedIn and on Zoom, Facebook, sorry. If you want a recording of this session, drop the word recording there in the chat. So whether you're in LinkedIn or in Facebook, and our team will go back through that and message you the link when it's ready. So go drop the word recording over in Facebook or in LinkedIn. For everyone else who signed up through Zoom, when you signed up for the event today, you will also receive that here in a few hours. You'll get a link to a page with the recording, the examples that were shown today, the slides, and some other special assets that I think you'll find very, very valuable. So all of you who signed up through Zoom will get that. If you're in Facebook or LinkedIn, just drop the word recording. I see John, Eileen, I see Tamara, I see Jill, all asking for it. Drop that in there, and the team will follow up and make sure we get that to you. Let's do this. Let's go around the table and let's have some final words from everybody here. I haven't asked them to prepare for this, but I assume they're going to have some wise words. Let's start with you, Lou. I see you're unmuted. What are your parting words for the audience today in any manner, business, direct mail, whatever it is that's on your heart and on your mind?
Yeah, so if you don't know who you are or how you want to communicate your brand and be remembered, the critical thing here is to be memorable in the way you want to be remembered. That's what it's all about. So figure that out first. And like Tom said, all crappy marketing is going to bring crappy results. So it's crappy marketing. So focus on your brand being memorable. And one thing I can promise is you'll like a Hobaica.
Thank you, Lou. That's awesome. Tom, what about you?
I think after like 30 years, I'd be sick of that, but I love it. I wish I had you like a Casey, it would be better, maybe. I don't know. I think that if you want to go someplace you haven't been, the shortest path is probably to find somebody who has been. And so in this case, Andrew, I mean, I talk to him and I never get off the phone and don't have a nugget of information, because I don't know if people get it. I know I get it. I think Lou gets it. Is that guy talks to like hundreds of home services, and so it's a very unique person to hear. And sometimes he'll save me from myself, because he'll be like, oh no, you don't want to do that. Fred over in Oregon did that and it was horrible. And then he'll even connect us. So find somebody who's been there and follow them, ask them to guide you, would be my takeaway. And I can tell you, Andrew does that. I talk to Lou probably once or twice a week, and we have completely different markets and companies, but there's always value in that. So find somebody.
Beautiful. Drew, what about you? Closing thoughts, advice for the crowd?
Like I said, I mean, there are some groups out there for, obviously it seems like this has been more focused on home improvement and HVAC, and there are groups out there like Service Nation, Service Alliance, Blue Collar Group, companies that are there to give you support. Next Star, that are there to give you support and help you get through it. But my biggest nugget that I can say is that it took me 40 years to invest in myself. I always was working for somebody else. I was always the top sales guy making big money, wherever I went. And when I say you invest in yourself, that's why I say, it's not so much that I want to get down on pay-per-click or Angie's List or Home Advisor, but you're investing in somebody else. You're investing in their brand. Invest in yourself, invest in your own brand. You are your brand. Like, let people know who you are, because you're not memorable when you call Angie's List and the plumber walks downstairs and then he walks out and then he's back in the market. When our clients acquire a client, they don't lose that client because they email them, they send them a direct mail piece once a month. They hit them with a phone call, a text message. Like, there's no reason to, like, I've heard too many war stories of, I bought 30,000 leads, I bought 20,000 leads. If you just held on to your clients, you wouldn't need to buy 30,000 leads, and you wouldn't need to buy 20,000 leads. You'd have 16,000 leads like these guys do, 16,000 customers who not only can have worked with you before, they trust you, but you can cross-sell all your products to them, and they'll keep coming back to you when they need your service. It's ingenious. 75% of your business is going to come from your existing clients. Like, stop going out and investing in other people's brands. Invest in your own brand.
Amen.
That's the most important thing.
Preach it, brother. Amen. Mackenzie, you're right next to Andrew on my screen here, so I'm going to give you an opportunity. Closing words, summarize your thoughts, share with the crowd.
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to summarize a few key takeaways that I learned here that I do not want people to miss as they leave this room. I talk to a lot of people, and I think that what they see direct mail as is only a top of the funnel customer acquisition strategy. They don't even think about how it is a key component to retaining customers, to getting deeper into customers, to offering things that they're going elsewhere for services that you can offer. But when you deepen that relationship with your customers, you stay top of mind and you treat them like gold when you do have it, going back to the quality, that is a great way to continue to grow your business. So again, direct mail is not only a top of the funnel customer acquisition strategy, it's huge for current customers as well. And the other one that everyone echoed here is own the home, right? How can you provide value to your customers that they may not know about? How can you make their life easier? Tom talked about the grudge purchase, and we can talk about the financials, but there was a conversation on LinkedIn, and if you missed it, go over to LinkedIn and catch the chat conversation. It was a few days ago with us actually, and Andrew with Joe. And grudge purchases, yes, there's a financial aspect, but when you can help someone make that grudge purchase today, you alleviate their stress. And for me, that to me is worth gold, right? So if Tom or Lou or anyone is mailing me about a grudge purchase that I have to do that I've been putting off, me putting off that grudge purchase is adding to my daily stress. And so, yes, you can make it easier for them financially by giving an incentive, but you're also adding value by alleviating some stress that no one needs extra stress in their life. So those were my big takeaways from all the guys here today.
Wonderful. I see folks asking, how do I connect with Drew? How do I connect with Tom? How do I connect with Lou? That's going to be in the follow-up information, folks. We'll include the LinkedIn profile for each of those gentlemen. Drew, did you have something you wanted to interject there on top of? Yeah.
Well, that's like the way I met you, Dave. It was on a LinkedIn post where you posted an article on Jill and Nordstrom's, both reporting earnings on the same day, both falling short of expectations, and both CMOs coming on and saying, we underestimated the value of our direct mail, and direct mail was the,
Yes.
Our catalogs and our direct mail. It was the #1 reason for our shortfall. And that's when I honed in, and that's when I reached out to you. And I was like, it's you two publicly traded companies on the same day saying the same exact thing. And it's just perception is reality. It's just.
Absolutely. I definitely remember that. And I know many here in the audience do. I can see if Miggs is still here over on LinkedIn. In fact, I remember talking to Miggs about that as well. And that was definitely an impactful moment for many in the industry. Thank you, Drew, for remembering that and bringing that up. I don't think there's anything that I can add that hasn't already been said by Mackenzie, by Andrew, by Tom, by Lou. So for the entire community here that's still here with us, drop a thank you there into the chat. Let these folks know, all of them, how grateful you are for their time. If you got value out of this, please drop a comment there in LinkedIn and on Zoom. Thank you to everybody, Mackenzie, to Andrew Eddinger over at the Best Postcards, Tom Casey, Lou Hobaica. Thank you all for your time. We greatly appreciate it. I know the community has absolutely loved their time with you, and we'll definitely have to have you back on the show soon. Tom, we're going to expect a performance from you.
You're inviting us. I mean,
you got it.
It's humbling.
You got it. Thank you all for your time. Everybody who's here, have a great rest of the day. I hope I see you again next Friday. We're going to continue doing this. And like somebody said in the chat, don't forget to get your honey a special Valentine's Day gift, which is a good reminder for me. I wrote that down as soon as you said that. So thank you all for your time. Have a wonderful rest of the day and an incredible weekend. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.